They might also be creeped out about other things that are going on in the crypt at night, and move and two action turn. He is hiding behind his tower shield, however. Good thing. Good thing. Guards. All right. Feels like this is going to be a chance for the guards to get back. However, this one guard, he lifts out his hand to look at the blood, but by doing so, relieved pressure on the poking wound that Los had given him, and 1 damage at the beginning of his turn puts him at 0 hit points. That state that never happens, and he's actually disabled. So he's just going to try to do a like a heal check on himself to try to. Nope, he doesn't quite. He doesn't quite stop the bleeding, and he's pretty screwed up. Whereas the other guards are going to come rushing in. These two Fosserite guards, I think, are going after Chagga. Like they come rushing in. They're pretty spooked by the guy in heavy armor who, used necromancy on them. AC 12 and AC 9. And then, they're clinking against his armor. Chagga's got his tower shield up. A little help, Lloes, a little help. Of course, he can't properly wield his two-handed war scythe in one hand, so he's got it kind of just in front of him, and he's flailing it back and forth, taking some of the sword blows. The guards do look like they're going to start spreading around for a flank. The Fosserite guard that is in Los's face, that is in a that is clinking swords with Los, misses, and I guess a third attack because it's the good thing it wasn't in the opposite order. But yeah, they are exchanging sword blows. The wicked pointed estoc versus the much more curved slashing weapon of the scimitar. Los, like he's potentially setting up a flank, moves around this guard. Like Los wants to kind of constantly be in motion, and he is going to attack. He hits, +7 with his attack and +1 for masterwork, AC 19. Poking the guard again for 2d4 damage, which is 6. The guard is now bloodied. I'm just going to skim Los's character sheet again. I'm like, what was Marty thinking? I'm now wondering, why did I think he had dex to damage? Oh well, maybe he's another cog just waiting for his agile weapon. Yeah, you do need feats for it. So if he took a piercing weapon, I think there is a feat chain. That's all right. I'm fine with his extra ninja trick. He's got Piranha Strike for a bit of extra damage. That's good for now. I kind of built him as a weaker swordsman who's going to try to have to learn how to be a stronger one. So that's fine. I think originally he was a rogue, but then I wanted him ninja, and then I might have forgot about the dex damage. Chagga. Well, Chagga is going to drop his masterwork scythe because it's useless He is wielding a gauntlet in his offhand, so he's actually now technically threatening those guards. So dropping is a free action. He's going to help Lloes out a little bit. He's going to you know what? Yeah, he's going to 5-foot step back. And he's going to mind thrust the Fosserite guard that Lloes is fighting. Kind of puts his fingers up against his temple a little bit. Doesn't have to, but for effect. Chagga is a third level sorcerer, and Mind Thrust 1 deals 1d6 points of damage per caster level. They get a will for half. Chagga has what is it called? Bloodline mutation. And he's got spell-focused divination, and Mind Thrust is a divination spell. It's a weird attacking divination spell. As the magic probes for the most vulnerable portions of the opponent's mind to overload it with a glut of psychic information, the guy just screams out. I think this is the first character I've ever made that had spell-focused divination, which is pleasing on a certain level. So the DC would be 14 plus spell level is 15 plus 1 for divination. So 3d6 plus 3, 11. And he needs to make a will save, and these guys had really shit will saves. And he fails, so he takes the full 11 damage. He like drops his sword and goes grabbing his head, clutching his head as he wiggles around to the ground. He's doing that sort of backwards, like his back is really taut and falls over to the side, and blood's dribbling out of his nose, and his eyes are bloodshot. And Lloes is like, "What the fuck?" 23 damage means that guard is incapacitated and dying. Yeah, Lloes is like looking at the other guys. This guy's just clutching onto the altar, like he's clutching on for his own life. And then these two Fosserite guards did notice like what happened, and they look at the dude and then look at Chagga, and they know that Chagga did something. They are frightened, but they've got the solution in their hands, which is called scimitar, and they're gonna get Chagga for that. They're gonna go into a flank, and Chagga's like, "A little help, Lloes! A little help!" +2 from the flanking. Oh, one of them comes in and slashes at Chagga's back, and that hurt. That got him. Chagga with his tower shield. Oh, give me a second. With that +1 AC. Ah, fuck. His armor has a max. He needs better armor now that his dex has changed. His scale armor doesn't allow him to. No, his splint armor doesn't allow him to apply any dex mod to his dexterity. It would have hit him right on, though. His tower shield makes his AC 21. He just got tagged. Shrink. 1d6 plus 1. He got biffed for 3 damage. A little help. He's pretty tough. He's taken much worse beatings than this. So they moved and attacked, and now they get 2 more attacks at +0 for their secondary attacks. Oh, AC 16 and 19. Had Chagga not taken his tower shield out, he would have been critical. But because he's got his tower shield out, that one guy doesn't just is attacking the tower shield, trying to make Chagga's arm tired, and then Chagga actually turned around for the other scimitar and swatted away the attack with his armored gauntlet. Fosser guards, the one on the ground is bleeding. He stabilizes, exactly, so he's stable. And then the one who's grabbing hold of the altar and is trying to put the blood back in. He fails the DC 15 heal check again, and he passes out. Well, he would have passed out at the beginning of the round, so he's at 21 damage. And still bleeding. So basically, Lloes's tactic right now is stab while invisible, run away. Come back later when dude is either dead or... anyways. Lloes. Lloes ignores the down foe, and he's going to go and help his buddy Chagga. He will put that guard into a flank and attack. Oh, rolls a nat 1. He would have hit, so he slipped on some of the blood, and the guy flipping around, he kind of like didn't want to touch the guy and moved around and swiped too early. He does get a second attack, so this would be +8 plus flank is 10 minus 5 for it being a second attack, and he moves, so that is his round. It is done. Chagga, I think, should he channel again, guys, or should he try to punch somebody with his gauntlet, or should he take out his dagger? He could mind thrust another person, but he has 6 first level spells per day. Mind thrust is his thing. Channel? Alright, he tries it again. He kind of turtles behind a shield, and he channels negative energy. Again, Lloes seems freaked out by the energy, but the spilling of the temporary oil just sort of went around Lloes and didn't affect him. So Lloes is jumping along the carpet of this room is for naught. And the channel damage is 2 this time. Second channel has gone off, and the DCs of the channel are 10 plus half level, which is 11, plus charisma modifier, which is 4, 15, 2 for feat, and 1 for trait. Is DC 18. Okay, I'll roll first for the guards that are up. One of them made it, one of them didn't. And for the guards that are dying, both fail. Alright, so this guard who's stable is no longer stable and is dying. This guard is bleeding and taking damage from that. The first one, the guy who is hopping around and in the flank right now, made his save, and the other one didn't. Okay, the dark energy crackles and disappears almost as quickly as it came, and Chagga does have another action left, so Chagga is not going to stay in the flank. He will make that guard move, and he will 5-foot step this way. He backs away from the 2 guards. The Foster guards. This guy's going to walk into Chagga. This guy's going to attack Lloes. So the 3 attacks on Lloes. Oh boy, that's a critical threat on Lloes on the first one. That would be AC 21. Lloes is going to use a panache point to try to block with his opportunistic parry and riposte ability. He is no longer in a flank, so it's just a +8. 8 does not meet 21, so he does not block, which means he gets critical threated from the scimitar, which is not a critical hit. He gets nicked along his elbow for 2 damage. And then the other 2 attacks miss with a possible critical fumble. That's a critical fumble. Let's see what the fumble is from the guard. The fumble is roll to strike ally. If hit, then auto-confirm critical. An ally is not in range, so no effect. He just a wild swing, and that Fossilite Guard recovers from that and takes another swipe with his scimitar, which rings off of the estoc. This Fossilite Guard is going to take... he 5-foot stepped in. He's going to take 2 swings at Chagga. Both of them hammering against metal plates and the tower shield, and Chagga's just too much of a turtle right now on the battlefield. There's a really, really big turtle. He also likes to eat turtles. Lloes. Let's see. He could spend a ninja point for an additional attack. This would act like probably like a haste. Delay or flank? Flanking will give him his 1d6 sneak attack. So he could step and then move around that way, and then... Well, hold on a second. I think he's getting AOO'd if he does that. He could burn a ninja power to vanish and then stab. Vanish would be a swift action, so you could vanish, stab, stab, or you could haste and then stab a bunch of times. Delay for flank. Okay. Little help. All right. Chagga is going to... bravely 5-foot step in this way. The channels don't seem to be scaring the guards too much, so he is going to punch the flanked guard. Chagga's BAB is 2, his strength is 2. His gauntlet is actually a masterwork gauntlet. Looky, looky. So that's +5 with the punch, -2 for having a tower shield out, +2 for flank. Chagga does not punch anything. He takes a second punch and doesn't punch anything, but he is providing the +2 bonus for Lloes. Lloes will then undelay. Undelay! Just adjust the initiatives. These guys, Chagga and Lloes, don't do a lot of damage on their output. Maybe Chagga with his mind blast. I think he's going to start using those. This is dragging. Lloes is getting tired, so Lloes is going to undelay and is going to use a ninja key point to get an extra attack. So here's where I think we need to make a rule call. So they've turned swift actions into single actions, which means he spends an action to get another attack. But the extra attack he spends is not at the minus bonus, so it's like you're kind of like spending your attack. Good question. Let me share with you guys the link to the 3 action economy rules. I wonder if they talk about monks, key, and their extra attack. Like, this is almost like a haste action. Yeah, I don't see key listed in here. Like, monks get an extra attack. Maybe it's the way it's written under. It might be as part of a full round attack, maybe? Give me a second. Because if the wording says as part of a full round attack, then it takes all 3 actions and he just gets an extra attack like normal. So I think that's might be how it's mapped. Make 1 additional attack at his highest attack bonus when making a flurry of blows attack. Interesting. And then ninja key would have its own, because I don't think ninjas have flurries. Key pool. There we go. That answers it. By spending 1 pool of her key, a ninja can make 1 additional attack at her highest attack bonus, but she can only do so when making a full attack. So what this means is that Lloes doesn't have a BAB of 6, so that he'd only get 2 attacks by spending this key point. He would spend his full round action attacking plus spending the key point, but he'd get to make both attacks at his highest base attack bonus. So eventually this will be, like, eventually when his BAB becomes 11, this will be better than just taking 3 attacks. It's better because the bonus is higher on both attacks. Okay, he's still going to do it because let's see how it works. He's going to get basically two attacks instead of 3, but they're both at his highest attack bonus. I'm going to make a note here so we don't have to do this again. +2 from flank. So he gets 22 and 27, which means he hit on both of them. The S-Talk criticals on 18 through 20, so no critical hits. But that's 2d4 plus 1d6 damage plus 2d4 plus 1d6 damage, and he is bleeding. So the guy takes 19 damage total, basically runs him in and pulls out the sword, and there's blood everywhere. And that guard goes down because of spending that key point. I like it. Works. It works for me. And I think that guard is now bleeding because sneak attack does bleed damage. Does his bleeding attack stack? Bleed damage from this ability does not stack with itself, is the answer there. But bleed 1 when you are unconscious is a bad place to be. All right, that was Lloes, waiting for, ooh, teamwork, I like it, says Chagga, as, like, there's a splatter of blood across the tower, part of the tower shield, and a little bit of splatter on Chagga's face. His tongue can't help but kind of like, to try to, like, get some of the blood. Like, Chagga likes to eat things. And then he's, like, spitting because he realizes that it's blood, but he was curious. Foster guards. There's 1 guard left. Fuck! And he's gonna go... he's gonna take a swipe at Chagga. He misses because of Chagga's tower shield. Clang! He's gonna take a second swipe, and then he's gonna start backing away. And the guard does a curious thing. The guard doesn't back away towards the entrance. He backs away towards the space at the back of the room. Like he's looking like he's gonna make a break for it. Chagga's next. Chagga's fingers goes up to his temple with a wicked look on his face. Like the guy just tried to slice into Chagga's cheeks. He's going to Mind Blast the guard for 3d6 plus 3 damage. 13 damage. The guard makes a will save and fails. Takes 13 damage. The guard's wandering around the room and like holding the side of his head. His sword's still in hand. And Lloes looks at Chagga like he now understands 2 made the guard do the weird worming stuff, and he's going to go run in to stop the guard. Where do you think you're going? And he's going to set up the flank again. Like, he gives a whistle and sort of like nods towards Chagga. They're trying to get their signals down right. He's going to attack twice, but this time not at the full attack bonus. So first attack is at a +8, which is AC 15. The guard has AC 17. Looks like the guards have bucklers by the build. That's fine. And then his second attack would be a +3. He actually tagged him on the second attack, kind of beat down his defense and raked the pointy end of the blade against the guard's arm for 3 damage. The guard's fucked up with 1 hit point left. Chagga, the Foster guard. Oh, fuck it! The place full of necromantic energy and his buddies are bleeding to death. I think this guard is now abandoning his duties. Like, he's not trying to run into the passageway. He's now going to step, move, and then move. He runs into the graveyard. Chagga does not think it's a good idea for any of these guys to report back to their respective families that a fat man and a swordsman came wandering through here. I think Chagga knows that these guys have a death sentence. Oh, he's too far away from Mind Blast. We need to stop him! Chagga simply triple moves up to the dude who had to step in order to run away. Oh, you know what? No. Chagga was here. Oh, he's just 5 feet too far away for channel negative energy. Yeah, Chagga runs right up to him. Get back here! Lloes is going to look around the room at all the guys running. I think there's a bunch of bleeding that happens. This guy is it. And one guy does get a chance to stabilize, although it is he stables. He really, really has a reason to live. Lloes will go running. He's a bit quicker on his feet. 30 and 30. He will incur an AOO as he goes running around. The guard hasn't actually ran yet. Oh, the guy tagged him. He got Lloes. He's like cuts him down, like this fear in his eyes. Lloes is going to try to block that. (21) he blocks, which means he gets to riposte. Does he use the same roll for his riposte, or does he roll again? Is it part of the same roll or not? Opportunity for riposte. The swashbuckler may declare blah 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 blah. Can, as an immediate action, make an attack against the creature who... Of course, it's Pathfinder. You roll again. Pathfinder 1E. And it's a miss. Oh, let me go! He's going to try to cut Lloes down. Holy fuck! Oh! Oh no, Los! Oh no! Alright, so let's roll to confirm the first crit, which is at +3, is not a crit. And let's roll to confirm the second crit, which is a -2. We basically need to roll a 20. It's not a crit. But Los, like, the guy is fear in his eyes. He's just cutting and cutting and cutting and... Oh, look at that! Max damage on both! He's like, get out of my way! Ah! There's this X that is cut across Los's collarbones, like one slash for the scimitar down one collarbone, one slash down the other collarbone. Oh! Los's little light leather jerkin isn't holding up enough, and that's 18 damage. He's got 20 damage. Good thing these guys are third level characters. Now, Los with his 10 con does not have warrior hit points. His hit point total is 26. He's got 6 hit points left. Oh! Oh! We might keep track of, like, the scars on Los's body. Yeah, that was vicious. You know, the whole saying about an animal that is backed into a corner. Yeah, somebody's trying to run away to save their own life. They might be desperate. Chagga is going to fuck this guard. He's got 1 hit point left. Chagga doesn't know that. He's going to 5-foot step back and blow this guard's brains out with a with an overkill mind thrust. This is his third mind thrust. 3d6 plus 3 damage. 14. The guard with his terror in his face fails his save, takes 14 damage, and I think he killed this guard outright with the mind thrust. This guard's, yeah, he's at minus his con. So the guard's like, drops his scimitar, clutches at his own face, and one of his eyeballs actually like popped, and the guard fell back and hemorrhaged right there on the spot. Oh, Los slumps against a gravestone and sort of bleeding there for a moment. Yeah. The fuck are you doing to them? I don't recognize that magic.
Oh, you look pretty hurt here, Los. If you want, we could leave. No one will ever have to know. Los. What the? Los. Come find me. Did you do a ghost sound or something like that, Los?
That wasn't me.
Los. Here it is again.
You can hear it?
Yes. Yes, it's some woman's voice.
And then it seems like the presence or whatever the woman's voice was scared away by like this horrible keening from beyond. As there's maybe not just one spiritual presence here.
Well, he got you pretty good. Scimitars are very deadly. He tried another inch away and he might have got your head.
Yeah, but he didn't. Do you have anything for this?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do.
Chagga pulls out a wand and is going to burn up some of his Cure Light Wound charges. 20 damage would be 4 charges from the wand.
Yeah. You should be more careful next time.
Chagga's going to use a charge on himself, as he cannot channel positive energy. He channels negative energy.
Perhaps we should call it a day and come back tomorrow.
There'll be more guards tomorrow. We should keep on going.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm feeling not too bad after your healing. Oh, that's gonna leave a mark.
Yes. A warrior's body is one with all sorts of stories.
You want to help me with him? Chagga puts the body down on top of the tower shield, and they kind of just drag the guy back into the into this area. These two guards, by the time they've had their conversation, decided what they're going to do. They've expired. From the untended bloody wounds of Lloes's pointy sword. This one guard is stable.
Oh, they've made all sorts of a mess on this carpet.
Who cares about the carpet? What's going on over there? Lloes has a look in. All right. Let's see if Chagga notices that one guard isn't dead when they go into the room. Ah, Chagga's a shitty priest. He doesn't have any ranks in heal. Really? No, he had so many skills to spend things on because he wanted to have the skill, the occult skill uses, that he's really just going to like rely on his healing magic to fix things. So he's not like a hands-on, I'm gonna stitch your wound up healer. So he gets a perception check, maybe. He does not notice that this guard is still alive. There's just too much blood everywhere. He is oh, they're both lazy. Lloes is always out of breath with his Tenkan, and Chagga is yeah, I think Chagga's scanning the room. Yeah, I picture like the potion vials as they were described in 3rd edition, I believe, were like little tiny vials, like an inch by an inch by an inch of little quantities of liquid. Yeah, so I think this adventure called for a random piece of treasure. So Chagga maybe, moves the guy's body who's leaning up against the altar and is gonna have a look at this holy altar. Lloes is gathering up some of the lantern that one of these guards had and some of the pints of oil, and you notice that Chagga is like nipping olives from the altar, and he's sort of eating the olives as he's having a look at what's on the altar. So the guards do have a little bit of treasure. Personally, they did not have their longbows, which was part of the build of the character. That's a significant portion of wealth. So they're not there are no longbows for them to collect. We're not interested in the guards' leather armor. We're not interested in the guards' scimitars, would just weigh us down. Although Chagga needs a melee weapon, I think Chagga will take a scimitar. You know what? Nah, he won't use a scimitar. He's got a dagger. Okay. The guards were going to be paid later. It's almost like they didn't bring much with them. And then the encounter, as we generated it, called for a magic item, a 2nd level magic item to be rolled. If we go to wordy stuff, it said treasure source 3.5 magic compendium. So I'm gonna reach over my shoulder here, open up the chart for the 3.5 magic item compendium, and I love this book right here. Where am I? There's the cover. This book is still useful if you're playing Pathfinder. It's got some really nice charts at the back where they've organized magic items by level. And a lot of the magic items quite clearly have their analogs in Pathfinder, and some of them are just neat and pretty easy to Pathfinderize. So, what I'm going to do is, to involve the stream, we're going to roll 3 times, and we're going to let you guys pick which item is just, for whatever reason, on the altar that Chagga will find when he detects magic on the altar itself. Let's roll 3 D100. All right, option 1. Option 2 is one of these. And option 3 is all right, a masterwork weapon is obvious. A skill shard is something I think is a single-use item that gives you a bonus to a particular skill. And I don't know what the electric eel elixir is. Let me have a gander at what those two things are. A greater skill shard. M185. A skill shard is a +5 competence bonus It is a swift to activate. It lasts for... You have to use the skill roll within 10 minutes. Let's vote before we decide what skill it is. And then the electric eel elixir, M158. Grants a +1 enhancement bonus to natural armor and allows you to make melee touch attacks that deal 1d8 plus 1 points electricity damage, +3 to the attack if the target is wearing metal armor, and it lasts for 12 hours. Okay. Characters B team, treasure and loot. 1 eel elixir. I'm seeing 2 votes for that. Okay, so I'm seeing 1 vote for eel elixir, 1 vote for skill shard. Wither, you want to break that tie? Oh, Withers was saying 1. Okay. Alright, let's figure out what skill it is. Let's have a look here. Skills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1d35. It is a bonus to appraise checks, plus 5 competence bonus. So skill shard. Plus 5 competence, bonus to appraise, which is the skill that Chagga uses to do object reading. By the way, we'll say that because Chagga's magic is different, and maybe somebody put this thing out on the altar, and it just looked like a shiny rock, like an offering. But Chagga kind of like nibbled his finger, like kind of ran his fingers gingerly across some of the objects. There might be like holy symbols and other small offerings and little depictions of some minor deities. And there's also a statue of the Undying Emperor, which Chagga just goes, "Oh, don't mind me," and he kind of gathers some of the cloth that was on the altar and just sort of puts it over top of the head of the Undying Emperor. And he stops at this crystal, and he's, "Oh, aren't you an interesting thing?" He picks it up in between his finger and his thumb, and
We'll have a look at this later.
yeah, there's a passage back here. I don't think they stick bodies in here. It goes in and down.
Oh, very interesting. Perhaps this room wasn't where you were supposed to receive your birthday blessing.
Besides,
yes, it makes more sense that you would be brought in here. I don't see anywhere for the key to go.
do you want to go in?
It is why we're here.
What about them?
The spirits have them now.
And Chagga does sort of a sloppy, like, pretend blessing over the dead bodies. Both of them are now peeking into the dark. Yeah. Yep, for now, Chagga is going to lean on magic heavily. His cleric is a little bit stunted by his time as a warrior, training with his family, so I'm okay with that for now. It'll be a while before they get 4th level. So they're both peeking in. Chagga grabs some of the lantern oil, and Lloes is now holding up a lantern with a sword in the other hand. Let's go.
Be careful. These places could be trapped.
Yeah, but they probably weren't standing on a trap there while eating their lunch.
Oh, they brought lunch as well.
Chagga, when Lloes goes in to explore a little bit more, Chagga turns around and grabs like the tipped over wine bottle and drinks whatever is left in the bottom, and grabs the basket with some of the cheese and the half-eaten loaf of bread inside, and he's nibbling on that as he goes in. I think at this point in time, we're going to take a pause to generate what the rest of the fucking adventure is going to be, at least the CRs and the power of the adventure. They're wandering into a crypt. I do have some crypt maps. I do have some ideas for some of the adventure, but I don't know what we should put in here. So, Lloes and Chagga are going to go into the Urncaster family crypt and go and explore a little bit more to see what was in store for them, or what will be in store for them 3 days from now when their both respective families celebrate their birthdays. It is a bit dark indeed. A bit dark. But did you expect anything else? Skeletons. Many, many, many skeletons. Oh no! Lloes brought a piercing weapon. Funny. Okay, how do we want to do this? We've got a couple of things. We're going to generate the adventure. which we should do soon. We should introduce Ghost and Junker. I'm gonna save the kid for last, and we should yeah, I think generating the adventure, and then from the adventure we need to generate the encounters for the adventure, or as in we'll put the dressing on first encounter of adventure. So I'm going to say Lloes and Chagga right now, they are 3rd level characters with 2nd level gear, and there's 2 of them. So they're acting probably like that was a rough encounter. That ate up more than 20% of their resources. They feel like a CR2 party, if not a CR1 party, because there's not all of them. So I'm going to say we should generate a 2nd level adventure and get Junker and Ghost involved. And now Ghost is a separate character from the actual spirit. Level 20 Blood Rager Epics Mythic Skeletons, awesome. They die. They die. Game over. All right, so I'm gonna type in Adventure 2, and we're gonna use Adventure Bot to generate this adventure. Holy shit! Nice. Okay, so let's dissect this wall of text. So we finished this. All right. The goal of the adventure, I'm going to spend a DM point to basically change the aspects of this adventure so that it actually meets them going down to investigate. So their goal isn't to sell a thing. The goal is to figure out like what's going to go on. The time constraint is critical. That fits perfectly. It is a major plot line. Good. Hook's shenanigans. They were in a bar. It's writing itself, guys. Area continental. No, it'll be area this place. Complications, none. That's always nice. Reward will be there's a level appropriate magic item somewhere in the adventure itself. There are 6 encounters, so we need to define the first encounter as they go wandering into a crypt area. Looks like a CR2 solo creature and a CR -1 solo creature, which is a CR1 half, is what -1 means. I'm saying we should put those 2 encounters together because it might make sense. Running a CR1 half, I don't know. That's like 1 guard shows up. All right, let's define up to this dotted line for now. And I'll make this a little bit bigger. It's also in chat. Okay. Opponent has standard gear plus a useful magic item. It's in the dungeon. Starting range of 50 feet. The opponent is hiding. Interesting. Or they're covered in some way if they're stupid. There is a social. There's a DC 10 social. So I spent 1 DM point to basically morph the adventure. I'm going to spend another DM point to say that the social encounter is actually introducing Junker and Ghost. skeletal champion with a crawling hand. Cool. Okay. Yeah, find the stats. I've got to run for a quick bio break, and when I return, we will have Lloes and Chagga take a wrong turn in what is the basement of a necropolis. Like, they've wandered down into chambers where not only have these mausoleums have been built like almost on top of each other on the surface, they are slowly sinking into the ground, and there are some that might be unnervingly filled with the wakeful dead. And then it looks like some of the magic item things. I'm gonna have to check the bug. There might be a bug here. The treasure source seems to be pushed to the next. Like there's a random treasure thing at the end. So I'm just gonna take this treasure thing and move it to this treasure source. I think there's something wrong with the arrays. I'm not going to do coding in the middle of the adventure, but I will fix that. So check arrays for treasure source. It's just something is off by 1. That's fine. Okay, the Marty method of PF1 magic item guide. I know how to do that. The magic item companion I'll need to help you out with. But keep in mind, you guys can spend GM points to change aspects of these encounters. And I'm going to basically throw in Junker and Ghost. Or Ghost and Junker. I think it sounds better that way. Two smarmy ratfolk that are down here for different reasons. All right, I will be right back. This is a lot of fun playing with you guys. It's surprising amount of fun playing D&D solo, I guess. You guys are great. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I grabbed some chocolate. What'd I miss? CR5 is pretty brutal. Yep. Sounds like we're going with Skeletal Champion with a crawling claw. Awesome. Done and done. I have I thought I had a map. Give me a second. Where did that map go? Where did it go? Where you go? Crypt encounter map. Let me create a map real quick. New map. Background. Spooky gray. Map. File system. Crypt encounter map. Spooky isometric map. Perfect. And this place is a veritable, like, necropolis underground city, so we can make the scale pretty big as well. Map, adjust grid. Grab the tokens from the other map, including Junker. Ghost and Junker. And don't forget Junker's rat. Alright, there's Ghost and Junker. What can I say about Ghost and Junker? Ghost and Junker are two gutter snipes that grew up in the mean streets of Foundry. They are Nezumi. While they act like brothers, they are not brothers. They're just two hard up Nezumi that seem to have survived and thrived on the streets. Ghost is sort of a sneaky archer. He is the one on the left in the white. He's about 4 feet tall. He is a Magus Eldritch Archer Rogue 3. He's the talkative one of the group. He always snickers at things. And these two guys are very, I don't know, I would call them amoral because of their tough upbringing. Ghost and Junker and Chagga and Alistair, who you're going to meet later, are probably the reasons why Lloes might want to break every once in a while from hanging out with his really, I would say, gray buddies to cross over with the other campaign. Or maybe they find out that Chagga can read objects, and maybe the party like goes and visits Chagga. I'm not too sure how the two are going to overlap, but Junker is also a ratfolk. He's a alchemist, vivisectionist, druid swarmmonger whose familiar rat can turn into rat swarms Junker is a urban druid's apprentice. He really sees the streets as having no rules but the rules of the animal kingdom. He's kind of the more psychotic of the two, and he doesn't really talk. He spends most of his time chittering in druidic and into his swarms of rats. And then I've got Junker's rat, which is a tiny animal. These guys, rats, which is a power, the ratfolk, which is a power I also gave to kobolds on this world. They can do what is called like swarm fighting, where they can stand in the same square and they treat their enemies as if they are flanking, if they threaten. Junker's got a few extra surprises as well. Okay, Junker doesn't have bombs, otherwise they would have used them. The two of them have been down in the crypts. We're just going to not dance around it for the stream. They're grave robbing. Now, they thought it was a good idea at first, and there was lots of things to explore, but then they realized that the Imperials and the nobles had all sorts of nasty traps, as well as undead guardians, and now they're realizing that this is not such a good idea. We're going to say that they've already had some encounters and they were trying to get in a rest atop this particularly large mausoleum, or sarcophagus, and they are kind of deep within the underrealm. They're not also sure where they are. They kind of got lost. And they're just doing what they've always done. They just make the best of situations, and they survive by their wits and by their deadly nature. However, wandering around down here and keeping them from further exploring is a skeleton champion. So let's get that skeletal champion, and it might be Chagga and Lloes, who provide, I don't want to say rescue, a distraction so that they might be able to leave. Let's find a good skeletal champion. Oh, if I type in skeletal instead of skeleton, I'll probably get it. Why is that doing that? That is not good. And then a crawling claw that's crawling around on the skeletal champion. Let's get that thing going. You know, I don't have a token for an individual crawling claw. It is easily remedied. I have a crawling claw swarm, but Junker and Ghost probably wouldn't have been able to sleep up there if it was a swarm. And we'll say, because undead are kind of stupid, that the crawling claw is really only helping the skeletal champion that is just wandering around and may not realize that Junker and Ghost and Junker are hiding up there. Let us get the rotting hand of the crawling claw in tokenized form. There is a rotting hand. And I will build an initiative sheet for this encounter because I think we're going to start the encounter in a dramatic fashion. Junker Ghost, Crawling Claw, and Skeletal Guardian, which is a champion. I need the stats. The stats. Close some of these tabs. Oh god. Skeletal Champion has a +5 on its initiative modifier, and the Crawling Hand has a +0. Ghost's ear kind of pricks up as both of them are sort of lying flat on the top of this area, just waiting for the undead to wander away. The undead haven't realized that they're up there. Junker's rat is just a single rat, although it's pretty smart because it's a familiar. Yes, a familiar, not an animal companion. The swarm druids are weird. And they're just sort of lying up there. They can hear the undead moving around. They're awake, and they just look at each other. But then they hear this, like, cracking from the ceiling, or maybe a nearby wall. And Lloes isn't a really good thief. He does not have trap finding or anything like that. And he kind of wandered into a section of the tunnel as they were going down some stairs and through some mazes, and they took a right instead of a left. And they went into an area where the roof has not been, or a partial, like, high up part of the wall has not been well maintained. And there's this sort of, they reach a point in the ground. Perhaps it's Chagga's weight. Perhaps it's Lloes who's leading the way that doesn't see it. But the whole ground underneath them, kind of like the whole hallway that they're in, sort of collapses and sort of like plows down into the level below it like a ramp. And both Lloes and Chagga go tumbling down into the room, where there is a patrolling skeletal champion, a crawling claw sitting on his shoulder, and the resting ghost and Junker. Yeah, this feels like a DM point to jam them into this encounter. Okay, and I'm going to do so without really doing a lot of damage to them. Let's say they reflex save DC 15 to avoid 1d6 damage as they go kind of tumbling into this area. Lloes is fine. Chagga, oh buddy. Oh buddy. Even with your +1 reflex save, because of the random +2 to his ability score, he fails. Oh, DC 10. No, he's good. He's good. They both rode down on the collapsed floor. They're a little bit shaken up, but they are not stirred. We've got a kind of a rubbly area where they might be able to climb back out. We'll say it's difficult terrain in that area. Both the rats realize that something's going on, and we are missing Lloes and Chagga's tokens. Where did I put you? Did I delete them? That would suck. They are the delete. Easily fixed. Grimstone, Master of Puppets. Lloes and Chagga. Cut. Oh, I cut them and then realized I didn't have the map, and then I stopped pasting. Okay. Cryptic encounter. Both Lloes and Chagga. Yeah, Lloes might have been like having this strange feeling, like something was trying to like go inside of him. His eyes were glowing a little bit, and Chagga had stopped. And when they had stopped, like the ancient beams that were holding things up kind of went, and basically. Yeah, it's Lloes' sister. We chatted. We I think we already established that. So, she was talking to me again. Concentrate. And they go blasting down into this chamber as Lloes' lantern is tipped over, and there seems to be a little bit of ambient light, perhaps from some magical some magical crystals in the wall. They do see that there is some horrid, rotting thing in armor. It is wielding, as per the monster description, lovely, a longsword. It is wielding. It has a shield, a metal shield in its other hand, and is wearing significant amount of armor in the form of breastplate. It actually might be wearing Chagga's new armor, if we're really honest about it. And I think initiative needs to be rolled. The little crawling claw like skitters on its shoulder. Ah! Lloes is yelling at it, and Chagga looks very worried as well. Oh no, oh my. And there's a couple of growls from Junker and Ghost. B team. Initiative. Where are you? Okay, we need random numbers, which I'm going to show on screen. So I type in enter, I get a new array of random numbers. I copy that into whatever order they're in here. Paste. Get rid of the numbers I don't need. And sort. Ghost, Junker, Lloes, Skeletal Guardian. Alistair is not in this combat. I'm just going to resort. You know what? He'll be nearby. He's not going to be in the combat, but he's going to... Alright, Ghost. There's all sorts of smoke in the air and dust as part of this place collapsed, and they are still immune to sneak attack. Yep. He snickers at this and scoops up his bow and is going to crop a hide. Like he's going to peek over the side to see what's going on, but he is going to crop a hide, and we'll just use the undead's passive perception check as the DC for the hide. The passive perception is 16, and Ghost, is he as quiet as a ghost? Has a plus 15 stealth. Max stealth, class skill, 20 dex, and plus 4 for size. He just looks over the edge. I don't think anyone in their part, the undead party, or in Chagga and Lloes, see Ghost kind of hunched like some assassin on top of the large sarcophagus. And he's just going to observe for a moment. Junker is also gathering up his weapon I believe Junker fights with a crossbow. Yeah, he scoops up his masterwork crossbow. It's already loaded. And Junker is also going to take a look with a stealth check. He's not as stealthy as his brother in arms. But he gets a 26, so the two of them are spying at what's going on. Junker's rat is going to be ordered with a couple of like little clicks from Junker. Junker's rat is going to climb down the side. Gets a 19, which is enough to avoid the sight of the skeletal champion. Now, the crawling claw has 30-foot blind sense. So when Junker's rat comes down like this, the crawling claw kind of notices the movement, but a roof collapsing versus rats running around, the crawling claw probably ignores things about the size of a rat. And we're going to roll a d3 to see what the crawling claw does. 1, it completely ignores a rat. 2, it's going to hop off the shoulder and kind of be guarded against the rat. 3, it's going to go like careening at the rat as if the rat was like the enemy. 2, okay, so it hops off the skeletal champion's shoulder and I guess on its turn, but yeah, right now it's on the shoulder, but the crawling claw sees the rat kind of squeaking its way down the side. Undead or dumb. Lloes dusts himself off a bit. He does not like the look of these undead. This is a thing of nightmares. This is not the birthday surprise that he thought he was gonna get. This is getting darker by the moment. Lloes sees a guy with a sword in his hand, though. How do you kill it?
Oh, I suppose you knock its bones from its body and it might stop moving, I suppose.
Lloes seems to... I think he's going to go defensive on this one. He's going to cast Shield Spell and move forward. Tentatively outside of the difficult terrain, so he can step and move around. Is this a diplomacy encounter, Marty? Skeletal champion or party member? Nope. This is a diplomacy DC 10. Once they start talking to the rats, they might have to convince the rats to come down and help. Otherwise, the rats might just watch. Skeletal guardian. It is taking no... it does not notice the rat. It goes straight at Lloes and raises its sword up in a decent but old sword style, and takes a swing at Lloes. AC 17 is not enough. Lloes is able to block. I don't think he's going to use riposte against it yet. Yeah, it's when they make an attack roll he declares using a riposte. Okay. Alistair, you can hear this like weird giggling. It's echoey. It's from somewhere back in the bowels of this place. And you notice that the two rats are kind of looking at each other like they're concerned about it. They may have heard it before, but they really don't like whatever that was. Lloes is he has too much on his plate right now to worry about the giggles of something. Chagga, however, is looking around like trying to take stock of what's going on. A little help here, Chagga! Yells Lloes.
Oh, yes, I suppose. He's very bony. Very bony indeed. He might be some sort of skeleton. He's a skeleton, all right. Oh, yes, but he's moving a little. He's moving quicker than I thought skeletons would.
And I guess Chagga doesn't know much about religion. That's funny. Oh, he's had weird spirits now talk in his head. He almost died to a scimitar. He's fighting undead for the first time in his life. Yeah, he's a little antsy. He's a little on edge. Sifting through what Chagga's going to do. I think Chagga is going to ready his tower shield. Move in. Oh, he sees the crawling claw like turn towards him. Ooh, my what nice sharp nails you have! Starts skittering from one shoulder to the other. Apparently, it forgot about the rat as it got moved away from the rat. Chagga is going to just try to punch with his gauntlet and misses. He tries to punch the skeleton and misses altogether. The crawling claw. Let's see. It now has three options. It can go after the rat like it thought. 1. 2 is Chagga, who's a big target, and 3 is Lloes. 2 is Chagga with a crawling claw. Jumps towards Chagga. Is going to try to claw at Chagga's face. AC 21 is a hit. It has to enter Chagga's square to attack, which means I think Chagga gets an AOO with his gauntlet first. We have to actually check. Chagga's melee is +4, -2 for the tower shield is +2. So gauntlet +1. So attack routines, gauntlet +5 would be +3. Hit AC 16 with the gauntlet. A crawling claw has AC 14, so he punched the crawling claw for 1d3 +2 damage. As it was going for his big chubby cheeks. He broke its pinky finger. But the thing isn't bloodied yet, with 5 damage. Ah! And then it claws at Chagga. It does 1d1 +1 damage. It's funny. It always does 2 damage. And then it does grab. It is attempting to grapple Chagga's cheeks. And it can grab a creature up to medium size despite being a diminutive hand, which is really funny. It is a facehugger. Its grapple attempt, though, is -4. So this may not work. An 8 does not grapple Chagga. But it's on the ground. Actually in Chagga's square now. It fell off of his face as he swatted at it as it was coming in, and it landed upside down, and it kind of hopped over, and is now going back towards Chagga's leg.
Ah! Damnable thing!
That was funny. Ghost and Junker. Well, I'm going to give Lloes and Chagga just straight up charisma checks. There's 2 guys wandering around. They don't look like they're official. They look confused. Let's just see if Ghost and Junker are willing to help. And this will be the diplomacy check. Chagga's 18 charisma. Lloes is 18 charisma. The DC was 10. I said Chagga first and Lloes second. Whatever reason, they think they kind of like the idea, maybe, of a guy standing in front, and they're like, should we help them? I don't know. They're whispering amongst themselves. I think Ghost is going to scamper forward and leave his hiding spot and let loose an arrow to try to help Lloes out. There definitely could be dealt with aside. Yeah. Let's see. Ghost moved. He's going to spend a swift action to put an Arcana pool point into his bow, turning it into a magic weapon. The creature is too far for point-blank shot, but +1 from above certainly looks like it would apply. And he has a masterwork bow. Okay. So ranged. So his masterwork bow is +9 ranged, because his ranged is +9, +1 masterwork. So there is a slightly glowing arrow. That strikes the back of the skeletal champion. It is a magic arrow. This is where it's going to suck for Ghost. Sneak attack does not apply. He didn't stick a spell into the arrow. And his arrow does a D6 +1 for the magic. 3 damage. So the arrow kind of goes through the armor of the skeletal champion and pierces through its ribcage. Doesn't do any damage. Says Ghost. Junker doesn't really talk too much, he doesn't use the common tongue of man too often, and he's just growling to his rat. Let's see what Junker is going to do. Yeah, he might have to do that next. Junker has infusions. He's got druid spells. He is going to cast... He's going to move up to the edge and cast Fairy Fire on the skeletal champion, perhaps making him easier to hit. Let's have a look at Fairy Fire. Yep, the 3 damage turned into nothing. Fairy Fire has a long range. Yeah, the skeletal champion is glowing this this lime green color. As Junker moved over and wiggled his fingers, saving throw none, SR yes, and the skeletal champion does not have any SR. So there is a like a lime green, almost like glowing uranium light or uranium glass kind of glow coming from the skeletal champion. Skeletal champion doesn't really like do much when he starts to glow. It does glance at the glow, but continues to fight Lloes. And I believe this gives Junker a this would get rid of any concealment because of the poor light. And the thing can't hide. Okay. Lloes. Lloes is going to step in for the flank. Chagga's technically threatening, but he seems more concerned and stepping on the crawling claw that's climbing around and jumping up at his knees. Lloes with his S-Stock is going to have a bit of a problem here. He hits the skeletal champion. Exactly. Does 2d4 damage, -5. For 1 damage.
Fuck! My sword isn't doing much! Keep at it! Keep at it!
And his second attack misses. The skeletal champion kind of parries that with a wicked look in his face, and a weird cackle comes from it, like the skeletal champion might actually be smart. Skeletal Guardian's turn. It is going to unleash hell on Lloes. It is a smart opponent, so it's going to step to get Chagga out of that flank. This attack bonus isn't. Oh, critical threat with a longsword. Lucky Lloes. All right, let's roll to confirm that crit. It is not confirmed, but Lloes got stuck for 4 damage. Ah! As the longsword rode up onto the blade, and then when the two swords disconnected, the blade nicked kind of above Llos's knee. Ah! He recovers from that quickly, although he's stung, and the skeletal champion continues its onslaught. AC 18 is a miss. You're gonna die down here. You hear a voice from like a different part of the. You're all gonna die down here. Little footprints. Something is running around back here now. The two Nezumi don't like the sound of giggling child voice. Chagga. Chagga, I think, is going to step back from this thing. And he's going to punch it with his gauntlet, but if he actually hits, then we'll say he's stepping on it, because that seems to be more like thematically appropriate. So he is going to attack. I believe it was at a +3. This thing's AC was 14, so he's like stomping on it. He does 3 damage, bludgeoning. The crawling claw thing is now bloodied.
Die! Die! I mean die again. Oh, it's so... You want to help me with this thing over here? A little busy.
That was Chagga stomping on it. I guess Chagga could stomp on it again, because Unchained Action Economy is cool. He doesn't. The crawling claw enters Chagga's square to attack, so Chagga gets a AOO, which he does. He steps on it again and is grinding it into the stone floor, like he was really angry at his cigarette and trying to put it out. 1d3 plus 2 damage. 5 more damage to the crawling claw. It's taken 13 damage. The crawling claw has 8 plus 5 is 13. Chagga destroys the crawling claw. He kicks at it and little bones go flinging everywhere. Ghost.
Kill it.
Says Ghost.
I suggest you kill it.
Ghost isn't going to waste any powers. Junker just agrees with him, like, says something in Nezumi. You know, he could stick an acid splash or a ray of frost into his arrow. But I don't think after he saw what happened to his arrow that he's going to do that. Although he can do that all day long because they are indeed cantrips. Okay, so he's going to put an acid splash. An acid splash arrow into the skeletal thing. Ooh, he hit. This does 1d6 plus 1. His arcane pool lasts for 1 minute, and I believe it can be applied to a bunch of ammo, or it's applied to the bow, I forget, but either way, it does +1, -5. So -3 damage from the arrow. So no damage from the arrow, and 1 damage from the splash of the acid. Junker, I think that's like a full round action for Junker. Just stick a spell in an arrow, spell strike. You can deliver the spell normally as a ranged attack. Yeah, I think that's a full roundish type thing. Junker, I don't think he's going to sacrifice his rat to the skeleton. So he made the thing glowy. He's not coming down off of that height because he doesn't want to get skewered. He could turn one of his second level spells into a summon nature's ally. What should he summon out of this list? He can summon a giant ant. A small elemental. Well, here, let me show you the list. A single giant ant worker, a small elemental, a giant frog, a giant spider, a goblin dog, a horse, a hyena, octopus, squid, or a wolf. He could summon multiple eagles, but I think we'll leave eagles for another time. He's gonna summon a giant frog because that's icky.
He's gonna summon a frog.
Burp, burp. And a giant frog with augment summoning. is a medium-sized frog. It appears 25 feet plus 5 feet away, so 25 feet. So it appears at the end of Junker's turn here.
Ooh. It appears that we've got a peanut gallery,
says Chagga as he notices the spell casting from Junker, who's reached out his clawed hand and is summoning the frog. The giant frog appears at the end of the round with the new rules. It takes up all 3 of his actions to summon. It will be here for 3 rounds. Let me mark that on the initiative sheet. So summon 1, summon 2, summon 3. And then the giant frog gets to attack. It bites at a +5, +2 for its flank. AC 10, it misses. It is going to try again. AC 20, it misses by 1. That is including the flank. And the last one is just a bowl for 20. Okay, so there's a massive toad thing hopping around the dirty dungeon floor as Junker whipped off. He turned his spider climb into a Summon Nature's Ally 2. Lloes will gladly take the help. There's a lit up enemy like some sort of gift tree, and a giant frog that seems to be trying to eat the skeletal thing. In a world where Fae are prevalent, weird things probably happen all the time. Or at least there are stories of weird things. And now he's got a tavern story of his own. Lloes is going to strike 3 times. Hitting, missing, missing. He runs the thing through for no damage. Shink, shink. The thing is coming forward. It would have done a bunch of damage to a normal man. He just looks at the blade and it looks like this incredulous look at the blade, like checking to see if it's okay. The blade looks fine. The skeletal guardian is just hissing at Lloes and attacks like it really, really hates Lloes's presence. AC 23. I gotta check Lloes with his shield spell. Lloes's total with his mage armor is 19. And mage armor plus shield would be 23. So we got hit again. This thing's much heavier longsword blade or thicker. Oh, tags Lloes bad. Chagga! Lloes is now bloodied, I believe. Yes, he's got 26 hit points. Skeletal Champion, yeah, he's got 15 damage. Skeletal Champion does not relent. It continues to attack. This time hitting AC 20, good thing he put up a shield spell. And the last attack is a miss. Hammering down on the magical shield spell as he's checking to make sure that things are okay. Handful of blood. Alistair's. He's gonna kill you.
Whoever you are, you're not helping. Oh, and hello to you two, ratfolk. You can help a bit more if you want.
Chagga's going to... Oh, there's a big frog here. He doesn't know.
I'm assuming you're the one that summoned the delicious-looking frog's legs. I've never eaten a frog's leg that big before.
He's got no ranks in knowledge religion. He is going to mind thrust the skeletal being. I believe the skeleton is immune to mind thrust. Give me a second. It might not be, because this is a divination power. Mind thrust. But I still believe it is a divination mind affecting. Let's have a look at creature types for undead. Immunity to all mind affecting effects, and then it lists off a bunch of which psychic came later. So nope, Chagga wasted a spell as he learns firsthand that bone creatures are not affected by his mind his mind thrust, and then he will simply move in a bit closer to help out Lloes if he has to. The crawling claw is destroyed. I'm going to remove that from the initiative sheet, and then we bring around to Ghost. Now, that's getting pretty busy in there. Ghost does have the precise shot feat, so he can fire into melee. Now that he sees there's a frog in the way, Ghost is going to see that as his opportunity to help. Or be a little bit more brave. I believe he has to climb down. His speed is only 20, so yeah, he's... yeah, he's going to climb down. There are handholds. It takes him 2 actions to climb, and then his third action is to move to here. He's actually setting up a flank, and normally you don't flank with missile weapons, but Ghost has a feat called Melee Archer. It is a rogue talent where you flank enemies 10 feet away as if you had a reach weapon. And he actually threatens creatures around him with his bow. So he's like a very close-ranged, roguey sort of fighter. So even if the giant frog goes away, he's providing a +2 flank bonus with Lloes. But he moves a bunch this round. Junker is not as brave and doesn't have as many feats. He just growls. Junker's rat returns to his side. He spends an action to scoop up the rat. And he's leveling his crossbow. He's going to ready an attack when no one is in melee with the with the skeletal champion, if that ever happens. Lloes is going to take a 3 swipes. He hits once and does no damage.
Fuck! We need to smash the bones, not stab them, smash them!
The skeletal guardian seems to have tunnel vision on Lloes. He's going to stab him a bunch of times. Or slash at him with the longsword. AC 23 is a potential hit. I think Lloes is going to use his riposte ability. +7. Oh, Marty, math. Skeletal champion swings with longsword and does AC 22. Lloes' AC right now with the shield is 23. Okay, so Lloes is fine, but he's still bloody and hurt. Alistair, the giggling voice, doesn't come to help or harm. Chagga is going to I think Chagga's going to try to grab the skeleton. Maybe grappling it to the ground might be a way of doing damage. Chagga really needs a... Okay, Chagga gets an AOO because he's trying to grapple. The skeletal champion slashes at Chagga. Misses. Chagga's a grapple. It's not that great. He grabs at the skeleton and it doesn't quite work. The skeleton pushes him away, slashes at him, rings off against his split armor. And then Chagga will just try to punch the skeleton in the head. Missing. And then missing again. He's kind of grabbing at the skeleton and trying to pull it off from murdering Lloes. Ghost sees Chagga's struggle, and given that the frog is there, is going to move around to provide a flank with Chagga and fire an arrow. Whoops. Missing the skeleton. He can fire a second one. Also misses. A couple arrows go whistling into the dark, ticking off of a far wall or column. But he is providing a flank to Chagga. Junker and Junker's giant frog. This is the third round that it's been here. I think I skipped the frog last turn, so it's going to get a whack attacks this round. So it's last round's attacks. Oh. It bit the skeleton. It does 1d6 plus 4 damage. 7 damage to the bite, and bites do bludgeoning damage. And on the other attacks, it misses. And then this round, +5, +7, miss. +2, miss. And then -3 missed. Okay. So it is jumping around and biting, and it's been around for 3 rounds now. It's done 3 sets of attacks. The frog disappears.
Ooh. It appears we have a bit of a summoner helping us out. Another frog, please. Another frog.
Lloes